Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Well, I have a pioneer in the reality show world from the first season of the first franchise of The Real Housewives of OC, Joe Della Rosa. Joe, I can't believe we're finally meeting.
We are finally meeting.
So many questions for you. Thank you for coming, first of all.
Thank you for having me. This is actually my first podcast interview
Wow.
ever. You are taking my podcast virginity.
I'm very excited about that. I've been following you for actually a while on Instagram, and I love all your fashion and blogging and your outfits and all of that, and that's great. Of course, I met you on TV. I've never met you in person before because I've told people this before. I was such a Bravo fan when it was like the small network. And I remember going, oh my God, what is this Real Housewives of OC? I see it's kind of making fun of Desperate Housewives. And I watched it, and you were Slade's. You and Slade were. You were engaged, or did you get engaged on the show?
We were already.
You
engaged,
were engaged, yeah. And you know. And the show was just so different then.
Yeah.
So different. God, if anyone's when they show old ones like marathons,
yeah,
it's like the cameras, everyone's wearing those sky tops.
Oh,
no one has
tops.
fake eyelashes.
No.
It's just
in first season, obviously, pilot, budget, right?
Right.
And no hair and makeup and a stylist and all of that. That didn't really come until later. And so I remember doing my hair, my makeup, trying to figure out what I was gonna wear, and it was definitely interesting. And also I feel the plot was different, right? When I would be meeting somebody for the first time,
yeah,
I was really meeting someone for the first time.
Yes.
So I've heard the show has changed a lot, and obviously I've seen it since.
Yes.
So now it's production and hair and makeup, and they're amazing, beautifully dressed, and I'm that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go girls, get it.
So when I know that when we first saw the show, Slade and you were in real estate. You were both title reps together?
No, so I was actually in the mortgage industry when we first met. I was working at Countrywide Premier Group in Fashion Island.
The days of Countrywide, right before the big mortgage recession.
Yeah, interest-only loans, changing credit report scores in the back.
So
not me, obviously.
No, but I was doing real estate at that time when I was always a realtor along with pursuing acting and comedy, and my parents were realtors, and my husband at the time was a mortgage broker, and my mom would joke about those days and say, oh, all you have to do is just put a mirror up to someone's face, and if there was steam, they could get a loan.
Approved.
Yes, get approved. So it was the roaring 2000s of real estate. But so you were working there. How did you meet Slade?
So I had just graduated college from UC Irvine, and I was a little assistant at a mortgage company.
So you're 23.
Yeah, I'm a baby, fresh out, I'm going to take over the world mentality, right?
Right.
Because we all are when we graduate, or at least I was. And then in comes this rep every week. And at the time, I had no idea Slade was one of the partners of the company. He was just the guy that would come in every week, as title reps do. And my boss actually set us up and was hey, can you do me a favor and take my assistant out? And
she said that to Slade?
He said that to Slade.
Okay.
And was can you just take her, teach her the business? And so we did. We went to lunch, and he ordered, a bottle of wine and, 4 appetizers and 2 desserts. And I'm I don't know if this is really a work lunch. I mean, I had never gone on one, but it's
So at that time, you were how old?
I was 23.
And he was how old?
At the time. He was 15 years older than me, so 35.
Okay.
36, if I did the math right,
Wait.
which I didn't do.
23 plus 15, that'd be 38.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, 38,
Or maybe 12 years. He was 35.
Okay, 35, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't a huge difference. I just had this other couple from Marrying Millions, and it was the same thing. She was just out of college, and he was mid to late 30s, which isn't that big of an age difference. But when you're so young at 20, it is like, oh my God, this is a full-blown human being that like has a life, you know, and it's kind of a big difference.
I also feel like I hadn't lived life yet in terms of like going out and like knowing who I was, right? And so I kind of, on camera over the different seasons, was was definitely growing up in front of America, and all my bad decisions, you know, and good decisions were documented. And I feel like, you know, a lot of people, they grow up but there's not cameras on them at all times. So
how did the cameras come about? Because Slade told me, and I've met Slade over the years, and we're friendly, and Gretchen, and they're always really nice to me. I don't know them super personally, but like, you know, but I think I asked him, or somebody, or I'd read somewhere, that he was at a charity event and there was an auction. Okay, explain what happened.
So I actually don't remember exactly like how it came to be. Just one day Slade came home and was like, hey, he was at a charity event, and it was Scott Dunlap, the creator of Real Housewives, was one of our neighbors. And I wasn't at the event. So somehow, some way, they had a conversation, and next thing I know, Slade comes home and he's like, so we're gonna do the show. And
no, I think what he said, and this is just memory, is that it was like, to do the auction, he paid something to be part of this pilot, right?
Yes.
And so so he comes home and he says what?
And just my recollection of it was like, so we're gonna be, and like reality wasn't really big back then. So we had Road Rules back then. Laguna Beach had just come out, or was out. So like the concept of what cameras following you around was there was only a couple of shows.
Really, like probably just like maybe the Osbournes, which was the family, but
Yep. MTV had most of them at the time, or at least that I
Real
watched.
World.
Real World.
Yeah.
So it was like a foreign concept. So we're doing this project, and I was kind of like cameras in the house at first. It was.
Now, do you think, did Slade ever have aspirations to be on TV? Like,
so he was signed by an agent at the time, because he was actually like a cyclist winner.
Oh, okay.
So he had an agent up in LA at the time for a lot of his sports stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was doing like
modeling,
he'd get stuff through that for cycling.
Okay.
So he was kind of a little bit in that world, and I wasn't. I was, you know, thinking I was going to go to law school at the time, you know. And so, we just...
And at that point, you are engaged.
At that point,
so how
we're
soon
engaged.
After that long luncheon did you, like, move in, get engaged?
We got engaged at, like, 9 months.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty quick.
And he had already been... Married twice, 2
kids with 2 moms.
And how were you with the other moms and everything and the kids?
I was fine. It was, I think, a lot. Like, I didn't realize it was a lot, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm 23, and...
How did your parents feel about you, like, being wife number 3 at that point? It's not the ideal.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it won't work. It's just not the ideal, I think, for your child.
You know, my mom's always been really supportive. So she was, at first, like, are you sure? You know, with kids and all of that. And I was kind of like, I don't know, you kind of can't help who you fall in love with.
Right.
And so you just kind of, for me at the time, it's like, this is what comes with the package.
Yeah.
So, gotta ride or die, right?
Yes.
And just love everything that comes with it. So, yeah.
And so the older boy that played the guitar,
Gavin,
he was featured on the show.
Yes.
And he was like living at your house, or at least part-time.
Yeah, so he was 13 at the time, and then Grayson was 2 at the time.
2.
So,
and at that point, I know Grayson has had a lot of health issues. At that time, was he not diagnosed with anything yet?
Not when I first met Slade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was later.
Later on. Okay, so.
Yeah. So, so it was definitely a transition, you know, going from, like, normal life to you have cameras in a house.
So how was, like, the first day of it? So the first day is, like, what do they tell you have to do?
Super awkward, like, because they're just in the house getting B-roll footage, right? And just kind of getting a glimpse into your life. And you can like feel the cameras at first. I was super awkward at first.
Yeah.
I just never, I wasn't an actress or anything, you know? I never experienced that world.
But like, what about the scenes where they like, where you have to get in like the middle maid outfit and like dust? Now, like, who thought of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at that point, like, it had been a couple of months.
Okay.
You know, and now we're comfortable with the cameras. And that's the danger, is at that point, you're kind of having fun with it.
Yeah.
The cameras kind of disappear. You know, you get a couple drinks in you. You start doing idiotic things. You know, at least I know I did. And so, yeah, it kind of like all your vulnerabilities just kind of go.
Okay, but like, who
out
bought the
door.
maid outfit?
I had that. I don't know why I had that. One, such a bad Halloween costume, even if I had it. And two, why the hell did I have a maid's outfit? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Somehow, like, I have this big costume of, like, things, right? Why there was a maid outfit in there, I really don't remember. But it was, and I think, you know, maybe I lost the bet, and so I'm sure we went and bought it, and I had to wear it, and obviously, like...
And then, like, when you, like, go and you're like, hey, do you girls live in Coda?
Yeah.
And it was the woman from Chicago.
Yes.
Who else was on the cast? Gina?
Kimberly, Gina.
Kimberly was from Chicago with the skin cancer.
Yep.
She had to go back to Chicago
Yes.
because of the skin cancer.
Mhm.
And then,
Gina Keogh,
yes,
former playmate.
and then Vicky
Vicky
and Lori, who was, Lori was Vicky's, like, assistant.
at the time. Mm-hmm.
And that was it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you met them doing filming like that.
Yeah, like for the first time. So when I was meeting them for the first time, I was really meeting them for the first time. And again, just super not natural. Like, I had no idea what was going to happen. So in real life, I'm kind of a shy person in groups.
Yeah.
So, like, I get anxiety having to speak in front of people, even at, like, church group. If we're, like, sitting around in a circle and, like, people are introducing themselves and it's coming up to me, I'm, like, raging with anxiety thinking about I have to talk next, right?
Right.
So I, like, can't even hear what the person before me is saying. So going up to a group like that I didn't know.
And they say you have to go up to them.
So, yeah, so they're like, okay, so outside... you know, there's going to be all these ladies, so just go up there and introduce yourself.
Right.
But I have no idea, like, the storyline and, like, what's happening in terms of, like, you know, editing.
But also in that first season, which was so interesting, is they really just followed each family's life.
Completely.
Like, there was no connection. And I remember somebody said, I don't know if I read or something, where they're like, oh, the first, you know, when the show started to air, we'd have these fun parties at people's houses, we'd watch it.
Yeah.
And then,
viewing parties were the best.
Yeah, and it was all great. And then when it got to the point where they were doing confessionals, maybe it wasn't even until season 2, where they were kind of like, where you guys were sort of really giving your true opinions about each other, then those parties stopped. Or like, then they got a little awkward or something. Where then you got, because I don't think that there was ever even any snarkiness until like season 2 or 3.
No, so like that, and that's, I think the biggest difference now that I can say, like, yes, of course we had, like, our issues within the cast every now and again, right?
Yeah.
Personal things would come up, or somebody, I mean, we were a family by
Right.
then. You're shooting every day with a group of people secluded from what is reality. Things come up. So it was like a normal,
Right.
you like a family does. But there wasn't like wine being thrown in the face moments, or like
Yeah.
tables flipping over and breaking moments, or anything like that. It was just whatever little disagreement happened.
Yeah.
So, or big disagreement.
I don't remember there being any disagreements between the women themselves. Like, I remember watching the Gina Keogh, what is her name? Gina
Keogh. Yeah.
Gina Keogh.
Mm-hmm.
Her family was just like, I felt like I was watching like the PBS documentary that really started. I don't know if you're aware, but there was this famous PBS documentary where they followed this family in Santa Barbara, and it was like way ahead of its time.
Okay.
And then they actually made a movie about it like recently because it was just so groundbreaking. But people, and I remember my mom would like reference it, and I felt like when I was watching her family, that's what we were seeing, because you were seeing teenagers that really were being themselves and didn't care, and they were like shut up, asshole. Like they'd fight with each other.
Like
and
real
then,
brother and sisters
yeah,
do.
and the husband was completely checked out. They had like the awful marriage. And that was just like, and then, everyone was just so real. And then Lori's story was, really sad, with her kids. And she's living in a small condo and she's talking about how she used to be rich. And then it's really kind of interesting because with her, I believe her current husband was like a fan of the show, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he like pursued her. So had she not ever been on the show, she probably would have never found that husband number 3 that she's still with today.
Right.
Right. It's like amazing.
I mean, I think for a lot of us, like businesses grew, opportunities opened, and doors opened that none of us, at least I didn't when I first got into it. I was just kind of like with Slade, you want to do this? Yes. Okay. Super awkward, cameras around us, but I love you, and I'll I'll do it.
And what did you get paid for it?
Oh man, not a lot at all. Yeah, I mean,
do you have any remember?
Maybe like I don't even know, $1,500 or something for the season. Because again, it was just it was just a little pilot, right? So or to that, I don't even remember, to be honest. It was
so
not
first
a lot.
You did a little pilot, then they said, okay, we're gonna shoot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it was just like, again, I wasn't pursuing it for any like entertainment industry stuff. So I was just like, oh, cool, extra money. And
at the same time that you're filming this for a couple months,
mm-hmm.
you still are like trying to do a mortgage.
Still, working at Countrywide. I think I had to quit my job. Well, I did. I ended up quitting, but it all kind of happened, at the same time. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think doing that show would end up changing the rest of my life forever. And still to this day, like now I'm just a rerun. But, it's like, it's kind of like Uncle Jesse from Full House.
Yes.
It's like, it just never dies, right?
Yeah.
And every time they come out with a new season, they'll start season 1 all over again, and it'll be reruns, and then all of a sudden, they'll release it in a new country, and so it's just, my Instagram will go crazy, and I'm like, oh, must be a rerun type thing,
Right.
But it's great. It's like, it's the family that birthed me, or and so I'm forever grateful.
So for the first season, we see you with that group. And when that first season ends, you and Slade are still together, right?
Yes.
And then second season, the girl moves to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And who joins? Does anyone new join in second season that I can't remember?
Second season.
Because I don't think Tamara joined till third season, right?
Mm-mm. Man, you're making me go way back.
I know.
I should know the answer to this. Second
Quinn.
season?
No, was Quinn second season?
Can we get a Google?
Yeah, we'll look it up. So, but second season in your now between first and second season, are you being recognized or only in the OC, or is any kind of like fun opportunities happening yet?
Yeah. So we're so definitely getting recognized, which is a super interesting thing in itself. So first time I ever realized anybody knew even who I was taking an improv class, and somebody's like, hey Joe, Roberto Cavalli's having like his vodka launch party. And I was like, okay. I'm like at my class. I've got like clothes in my trunk. There's a 7-Eleven across the street, little shorts. And I'm like, okay, run across the street after class, shave in the 7-Eleven real quick, get dressed. Because I'm thinking like, this is no big deal. It's just a party. I'll meet you there. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I start walking into this humongous event where you have to check in. And I start walking in and I'm just looking straight at this humongous house, just in awe.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear, Joe, over here. Click. Joe, over here. And I look over and there's this humongous line of press, which at the time I have no idea what a red carpet or press is.
Yeah.
So if you end up looking at these pictures on Getty, it's like I'm all put together like smiling, but you would never know. Like I full blown just got ready at a 7-Eleven before this thing and like had no idea. So that was like first experience of like, holy crap, the show is actually like a thing. Right?
Now, at this stage, did you guys do promo photos in your sky tops holding an orange?
Yes. I don't think we had sky tops though. I think the sky tops were just in the actual episodes.
Yeah, but you were not dressed up. They weren't glam. You guys were not glammed out in those promos.
Literally, I remember I was wearing BB. Shout out to BB, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I had a BB top and like all the things that like I supplied. No styling budget or anything like that. So
holding the orange.
Holding an orange. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay, so second season now.
Second season.
And are you and Slade, like, lying in bed and being like, we love this, where is it going to go? Like, so far, nothing negative has come from it. It's all been, like, fun and positive.
So far, I think we always had our issues, right? Because I was, like, wanting to go to LA and party at the time, and, like, I was young and, like, again, just finding myself and doing the 23-year-old thing that every 23-year-old does. And he was, like, at home trying to be a dad and, like, raising kids. So I think there was definitely...
And we saw that in the show.
Yeah.
And was that something that you would reveal, like, to producers before? Like, hey, before we start filming this season, what's going on? And you're like, I kind of want to, like... Is that why we saw that? Is because you revealed to them that, like, that is something you'd like to pursue?
No. I think what really happened is they're catching what's happening in our relationship. And all of a sudden they're like... storyline, right?
Yes.
Of, like, the girl who loves to, like, go to LA and, like, party while, like, the dad is at home taking care of the kids. And, Joe, you're a horrible person. But really, I'm being 23 years old, and it's not like I was getting smashed out of my mind, but I had this love for the city and for LA, and I was living in Orange County and, like, wearing black nail polish, and, like, I never fit in. It just wasn't mine.
Where did you grow up
like
before
Mission
Irvine?
Viejo.
Okay.
So, like, literally little suburb,
yeah.
Middle class. Like, my family's still out there. They live by Mission Viejo Lake. And it's great, but, like, I wanted more. I wanted the city.
And you were like you were the first to get in the studio and start singing, right?
I was the first to have my own spin-off show, and then first
to have... So wait, with the singing.
Oh yes.
Now you said you were so shy and had anxiety and never wanted to be an actress. So how did the singing come about? Now that this opportunity was here, you were like, you know what? I used to sing in my closet. Like, how did this come about?
So my dad was a musician, and I was, like, in show choir and, like, actually studied music and all of that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. Played a little guitar. I did a lot of songwriting, and it was just a fun thing. And it was the way Gavin and I would, like, he would play guitar, and, like, it was like a little bond.
Your stepson, well, almost stepson.
Almost.
Yeah.
And so I think they just kind of heard and, like, knew I also danced, like, growing up, just being a dancer in the studio, and I wanted to be a dance major and, like, go to LA and be a backup dancer for Britney Spears at the time, right? That was, like, the dream. And they just saw an opportunity to, like, do music, but I was never, like, a singer first. I was a dancer first and a singer second. And so, I explored that opportunity, but nobody really knew. Like, at the time the album came out, I shot a music video that did end up on MTV. Single went to radio, and I ended up touring. And Mikey, by doing the music on. So first album comes out.
Yes.
Unscripted, and Mikey Minden, who's actually the choreographer for Pussycat Dolls, was my choreographer. So
who's now Mikey from Erica Jane?
Oh. I don't know.
Do you not even know that?
No. Oh.
Okay, so you know who Erica Jane is?
No.
You don't watch The Housewives?
No. Not anymore.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
I just hear stories like this.
Okay, so Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Okay.
There's a woman named Erica Jane.
The blonde.
Yes.
I saw her on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
Okay, and Mikey Minden choreographed for her? It's all coming back now, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, only because of Dancing with the Stars. I remember her.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So yes, that Mikey.
Okay, so you did, and then, because I remember, and there was another scene, like, after you weren't on the show, you came for a barbecue.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm just stopping here before I go perform at Anaheim Amphitheater or something.
Yes.
What was that?
So at the time, the album had just come out, so I was doing, like, House of Blues. I was performing in New York and being an opener for, like, a lot of different people. And it's funny because, like, there's a stigma. You're a reality star, and you go and you do an album. Right. And everyone kind of, like, makes fun of you, like, oh, you're a reality star and you have an album, okay.
Yeah.
Right? But I was actually, a lot of people never knew, like, one of the first singles I wrote actually ended up on the Hills. Like, I really had a publishing deal to do the music thing. It just wasn't me. They wanted me to be this J-Lo, heel-wearing, like, diva girl, and I, like, just wanted to grab a guitar and move to Nashville and, like, do country.
So why didn't you?
I think because at the time I was, 27? And by then, like, the...
Okay, wait, let's go back.
Okay.
Let's go back.
Rewind.
So now, second season.
Yes.
Did we find out who was this cast of the second season?
Tammy Knickerbocker.
Tammy Knickerbocker joined. Tammy Knickerbocker was, I think, a friend of Vicky's, or she brought her in, and she was divorced, now not as rich. She had the 2 girls, and they did the Angel Water or something.
Yes.
And the girls got in fights, and I mean that's when we kind of saw, like, again, a really, like, sad part of OC, where, like, the one girl, like, was dating this really heavily tattooed guy, and they were, like, raising pit bull puppies in their apartment. I don't know. It was like, that part was, like, not the glam. I think they started to realize, no, this is getting a little too, not the part of the OC that we want to show.
Right.
Okay, so Tammy Knickerbocker, she only did 1 season. Okay, so in that season, you're still with Slade, but now you're going out with your friends, and you have some scenes where he, like, brings you, some jeweler comes and gives you all this jewelry, and then you're like, well, I'm still going out with my friends. Do you remember that?
Jerk.
Was that real, or was that, like, acting?
I don't even remember that, to be honest with you. Because I would be okay throwing myself under the bus, but I don't remember that.
Well, I do. And then
maybe I blocked out a lot.
And I'm doing Chelsea Lately, which is my background, and I look out from the panel, and I see Slade. Okay, and this is after you guys had broken up.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my God! And he's with Gina's son. Okay? Shane. He's with Shane and this pretty blonde girl, and I'm like. Now, nobody knows Real Housewives of OC. I'm the only one that's, like, weirdly obsessed. I'm like, oh my God, hi! And they're like, oh, we know Chewy. They met Chewy at a party, who was, like, Chelsea's, like, little sidekick. So I go, where? So I tell the guy, I'm like, where did the Real Housewife people go? So I go back. I'm like, hi, I'm Heather McDonald. Oh my God, I'm, like, a huge fan. I go, oh, and who's this? And he was with this girl that was his girlfriend, the blonde girl. What was her name? Still follow her.
Slade's girlfriend?
Slade's girlfriend after you was not on the show. They dated, and I met her, and she was a divorced mom of 2.
Oh.
Anyway, she was blonde and pretty, and he's like, we're working on a cooking show together or something, he and this girl. Mm-hmm. And I go, oh my God, I watched the show, and I mean, Joe was such a bitch, she just took all those jewels and he goes, oh, that jewelry was just borrowed. So that was the first time. That was the first time I was like, oh, all this stuff isn't, like, real. Here I am doing TV, but again, reality was so new.
So new.
That even me, as someone who, had a TV background, I didn't understand that, like, no, he didn't buy $80,000 worth of diamonds that day and then have you go put it on and be like, see ya.
Yeah.
Going to Sunset. So, okay, so you're doing the show, and then you guys, at the end of second season, you break up in therapy, right?
Yeah. On a couch.
That was pretty juicy.
The famous couch scene. Yeah.
And you didn't really know what was happening, did you? He kind of, like, was the aggressor of the breakup.
Yeah, he broke up with me on a couch.
And at the time that he's breaking up on the couch in therapy, is there any part of it you're like, and this is fucking on camera? Or are you still not totally aware of, like, the power of what you're doing?
Well, so here's the thing. There was just a lot happening. We had already been having our issues. And so, yeah, I don't think I realized at the time the power of anything.
Wait, wasn't there something where he, like, took off your license plate from, like, a Hummer? What was that?
We had matching license plates. J Smiley and S Smiley. So I had J
like
Smiley.
Around the frame or the actual license?
The actual license. It was that, like, palm tree background.
Okay.
And it was, like, mine said J Smiley. And then he had his palm tree background in his car. License plate that said S Smiley.
But how could he take your license off and then have you drive around like that's illegal?
I think he was trying to make a point.
Yes.
Like,
did he go to USC?
No.
Oh, I thought I remember seeing a USC license plate frame on that Hummer.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, but you went to UC Irvine.
I did, but my dream was to go to law school at USC, and I had gone there for a summer. I did their creative writing program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was a nerd in college, even though I was a cheerleader, and like the top percent.
You were a cheerleader at UC Irvine?
Yes.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, there's no football team, so it was just for basketball.
Still, that's like dancing.
Yeah, so since high school, I was a cheerleader.
Oh, wow.
So high school, college, and then pro team after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but USC was where I wanted to go. So I thought
So he breaks up with you on the couch, and then in that breakup, do you realize like, oh, I guess then I can't be on a third season of the show, or
No.
were you not even thinking like that?
I'm not even thinking that. At that time, I just, we just had so many issues at the time, and I am living. At that time, I moved to LA.
Okay.
And then I'm kind of just, there was a lot of opportunity for me that happened because of the show.
Right.
And also because Desperate Housewives was like a big show
Right.
then.
So this was like this little parody of it almost.
Yeah. So we got so much attention and so much press and so much all the things because of that. And so,
at this time, by the second season, had New York even begun?
No.
So you were the only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time. So by then I'm in LA and I'm working. And I just kind of am captivated by the city and going out 5 nights a week and getting invited to all the hottest clubs and all the newest restaurants, and I'm just kind of lost in that world, right? As anybody is when they first move to the city, right?
Yeah.
And so, I didn't really think like Housewives. I didn't think anything, and also I think at that time I was just ready to kind of move on.
But you didn't think about like, oh, now I'm off of this huge platform.
No, because
will it still be rolling?
No, because there was not even Instagram at that time.
Right.
So there was no such thing as like a platform then, right?
Yeah.
Now, like, I'm a big Bachelor in Paradise and Bachelor fan.
I just had Wells Adams. Now
oh my
just
gosh,
about an hour.
I love Wells.
Yeah.
I just saw him on Daily Pop. Hi, Wells. Okay.
Yeah.
Love that he's engaged, by the way.
Yes, we got the whole story, so you have to listen to that episode.
Love it. I will. So like now when you're on one season of Bachelor or Bachelor in Paradise or any of those, you're like 1 million followers.
Right.
So we didn't have any of that at the time. So to me, there wasn't like, I wasn't thinking platform. I was just thinking, okay, now I'm in LA. What am I going to do?
So so obviously you kept in decent touch and in a decent friendship with Slade, because then when do you guys do that Bravo show where Joe finds a boyfriend and you have that like Hollywood Hills house? I want to hear the whole story about that.
Oh my gosh, date my ex.
Yes.
Yeah, so Slade and I are still like on and off, is all, you break up, you get back together, you break up, you try and make it work, then you're like never going to be together, and then you end up getting back together. So then so they end up giving me first spinoff of
the same production company?
Same production company.
Okay.
And that was basically the first spinoff.
And who thought of that idea?
We met with the production company at the time, and I was just kind of sharing with them, like, now I'm in LA pursuing music, and I'm dating, and Slade and I are still, like, friendly.
Right.
Friendly, in quotes.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why don't we do, so it was kind of like Bachelorette meets, an everyday reality show and put them together, and it was like this hybrid, because it's like they followed my life with my 2 best friends. They got us a place at the Palazzo that was supposed to be my fake house and or fake apartment, and it was just Slade living in the house with like 15 guys and me dating them while he helps me choose my next boyfriend.
Yes,
that's not awkward at all.
No, I remember it.
Like, and now looking back on it, I was like, how did we
and
do
I want to
that?
also say, was Slade like into wearing a beret at that time? Am I remembering this?
Yes.
God, am I a genius? Do I have like a crazy memory?
You have a crazy memory, because I can't even remember what I ate last week. That's where you ask me questions. I'm like,
I just remember going, why is he wearing a beret now? Yeah.
I think I think fashion was just evolving then.
Yes.
Kind of like us in our sky tops.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so he wears, and then at the final episode,
Yes.
there's one more person I want you to consider or something, and then it's him. He says he wants to get back together with you at the end, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you knew that before. Come on. That had to have been, like, planned out from the very beginning.
I actually genuinely had no idea that he was going to jump in there because I was genuinely forming connections with the boys
Oh, really?
on the show
Okay.
that were really cute.
Yeah?
And then he steps in and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Come again in English?
And he's like, I want another chance.
But again, we were still kind of like behind the scenes on off. So,
Hooking up. Yeah.
you know, it was like very long 7 years of my life.
Oh, really? That's how
It was a
long?
long time. 5 years, 7
So
years.
when did the...
Pretty much all of my 20s were with.
But didn't he meet Gretchen through you?
So that's what I thought. This has been a big discrepancy
Okay.
or conversation. I genuinely thought that they had met through me because
Which we saw on camera, right?
Right.
It was like a photo shoot or something.
So Gretchen was actually married at the time,
Right.
and then so
Before she was with the older guy that had cancer, she was married.
yes,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and I remember, again with my memory,
Okay.
meeting her at like an event, thinking I'm introducing them for the first time.
Yes.
But I've been corrected that they knew each other
Okay.
prior, so that was news to me.
Okay.
So
And at the event is where Slade goes, Gretchen would be great for the show, too, right?
So I actually knew one of the casting directors,
Okay.
and they had called me to see if there was any recommendations or anyone I knew that would be like a great addition.
And now you're off the show, or you're still on the show?
And now I am off the show.
Okay. And they
Yeah.
asked, do you know anybody?
Yeah, and I was like, you guys should call Gretchen. But now, I'm sure if you ask other people, they might have a different story, but that's
Okay.
how I just remember them
Okay.
calling me. I'm sure maybe they had other things that they were talking to them about, so.
And so then you go, you should talk to Gretchen. And at that time, then once they talk to her, then she's divorced and dating this older gentleman.
Yeah, so, yes. So we were going on like a double date, you know, meeting
You and Slade?
and Gretchen and her husband at the time.
The husband, not the older gentleman.
Correct.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so.
And getting to know each other, but they were filming it or they weren't filming it?
Not filming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all
this
right.
is all real life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I moved to LA,
Okay. You did your dating thing.
did my dating
That
thing.
ended.
That ended.
And then then you and Slade finally ended?
And then we finally ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's then not on the show because he doesn't have anybody.
Right.
And then season 3 is, can you look up season 3 now? Is Tamra, then that's when Tamra joins. Doesn't she?
Yes.
Yes. And then, okay.
You're really quizzing me on this
I know.
history.
And then I think, then Gretchen, does she not come till season 4? We were looking this up.
Season 3 is Quinn, not Gretchen.
Okay, so it's Quinn and Tamra, season 3. And then season 4 is Goodbye to Quinn. Can't believe you never watched Quinn. Quinn
No.
was a doozy.
She was.
She was like one of the like most mixed matched person to ever be on the show. She was like this older. She was a little. She wasn't glammed up, and then she was like dating somebody, but she was like super Christian, so she didn't want to like have sex. And then she like they go to Vegas, and then she's like shows up in this wig. It's like some of the weirdest stuff. But like I seriously, I could never. It doesn't matter who they throw on the show. I'll never stop watching. What was it?
Season 4 is Lynn and Gretchen.
Okay, so then season 4, then Lynn Curtin with the cuffs and the 2 daughters and the husband, she joins along with Gretchen. And that's when Gretchen is on with the sick boyfriend, sick fiance.
Yes.
Okay, so still there's no reason for Slade to be part of that. He wasn't part of that.
No.
And then then the guy passes, and that's when then he comes back on as her boyfriend.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, and in between there was a date with Lori Peterson.
Yes, there was.
Okay, all right. Now, during that time, are you just out of the loop? Are you keeping in touch with anybody? I can't believe that you're not watching it. How are you not watching this show that you were on? Like, what kind of self-restraint do you have?
Well, number one, I don't have cable. So I don't know why, I've had Netflix, Hulu, HBO, all the apps.
Yeah.
So like,
But back then you had to have the cable. There
back
was
then
no apps.
back then I had the cable. Yep.
You had to have it, but you didn't have it.
You know
is
what
you're
it
saying.
was? I think my biggest thing was like, obviously Slade and Gretchen ending up together
Yes.
was like really kind of hard for me.
It was hurtful.
It was hard
Yeah.
to like see, and so I think for me, not watching is what I needed to do for my.
Well, I mean, that would be the advice that like a therapist would give you. I'm just saying I respect you for not, because I mean, how many women can like, stop following their ex-boyfriend or never even, or even if you don't friends with someone, sometimes you're like late at night, you're like, let's see what this bitch is up to.
Right.
Like, and I can't imagine not keeping myself from watching a show. I've done it with certain things. I've been like, you know what, I think I'm finally over it,
Right.
and I can keep from it, and the curiosity's not there anymore, but
Yeah.
like, I commend you because you did do the right thing for yourself. It would have been hard and torturous and frustrating and all of that. Yeah.
And so, don't get me wrong, like over the years I've definitely seen a peak here and there,
Yeah.
but I think just again moving to LA, Orange County just seemed really, really far away.
Yeah.
So it's like there wasn't that, again, Bravo, Real Housewives will always be a part of my family and my past, and it's always where I come from, and to this day I still get opportunities, to do cool stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
But I
Now, with the rise of the whole franchise and all this stuff, has there been any thing where they, like when Peggy came on, I'm the 100th housewife. She made such a big deal about the 100th housewife. You being number one, essentially, or whatever. Has there been any of these events with Andy Cohen or anything where they have wanted to bring you back?
Yeah, so I've gotten like really great opportunities to like, go to New York and do interviews with Andy and like
Do you?
I have, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And like, get invited to the 10th anniversary of, the events and here and there, like they'll still reach out for stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will always be like a little piece of my heart.
Well, what if they came to you tomorrow and said, all right, we're getting ready to do the next season, and we really think, we heard you on Juicy Scoop, and there is a hunger to know what's going on, and we think it would be really interesting to see you. Would you do it?
Only if Heather comes with me.
But would you?
I used to say no.
Yeah.
But now I'm just kind of like never say never.
Right, you should.
And
yeah.
it would probably be a really big change in terms of leaving LA, moving back to OC, and just, getting back into that whole world. But
I mean,
yeah.
I love the OC. How do you not just love like that ocean and that like smell of wealth? Like when you walk into a fancy hotel,
smell of
like when I walk into that Pelican Hill, I just like literally I feel like heroin is going through my veins.
I do love a good Pelican Hill Inn.
I mean,
It's
it's
great.
like
Yes.
I mean,
if you're single, ladies, it's the place to be. Just pop yourself up on that bar with a martini.
oh
and
my
the boys
God,
Just come.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. We should do lunch.
I mean, I think you should go. I think it would be so interesting, to have somebody, come back like that,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it on my vision board.
Okay. I like this.
Are you dating anyone now?
I am dating somebody.
Will he move to the OC with you and risk breaking up? Because obviously, it's not gonna work out.
That is a great question. I currently can't move him out of Santa Monica. We actually just moved in together.
Oh, how cute! That's great.
So, yeah, he's Australian.
Oh, that's
Amazing
nice.
accent.
Yes.
Little
What about a 90 Day Fiancé show? Is he American yet?
Oh, yeah, he's American.
Oh, too bad. Does he plan on going to prison? There's a Love After Lockup show.
I will have to ask him, see if that's okay.
I think we just have to go back to the OC.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't do 90 Day Fiancé. He's not a criminal.
I
So
don't know if that's really. I don't know.
well, You never know.
We never
So,
know.
have you run into anybody?
No, because they're all in Orange County, but I definitely still keep in touch. Lori, Gina.
You do.
Yeah, like, over social, or if I
Do you think they ever have a desire to go back? I know Gina tried to have like a spinoff or wanted to.
I feel like Gina's gone back. Like, she pops up with Vicky on episodes
Right.
and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Or
They're
I've seen her
friendly,
over
I
the
guess.
years.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think we've ever like officially talked about it.
What about Lori and her son?
That I don't know, because literally,
I reached out to her because I saw her on Megyn Kelly a while ago about her son's case, and it's really like heartbreaking. And she truly believes that he's innocent, and it was like. And when I read about it, I'm like, I think that there is a lot of discrepancy in this case, and so I like to do like juicy crimes too. So I reached out to her. Maybe she'll come on because I'd like to like shed some light. I just feel like her story is so interesting too.
I love
like
Lori.
her life story, and then she, obviously this marriage has worked out. She's been with him for a long time. Mm-hmm. She is now raising the boy who we saw troubled on those first seasons, continued to be in trouble, unfortunately, and he has a daughter that she has full custody of that she's raising, and so it's like that's such a. That's the story I want to see. Like, that would be interesting, It's
great.
But I think I think the show has become so big now.
Yeah.
And definitely people are going, well, at least let me just get my first 100, 200,000 Instagram followers, and then if it doesn't work after that, who cares?
Yeah.
And it's just such a different experience than when you stepped into it,
Completely. Like, even now, I'm currently in the middle of transitioning my career, kind of like a second life,
What are you working on? Tell us.
So I'm, my entire career I was in digital advertising, pitching brands and creating digital strategies. And
this is what you've been doing the last few years?
Yeah, since I left the show. And I've always really just had a passion for content creating. Mm-hmm. And now, the whole influencer world is such a thing.
Right.
And so I just decided recently to put my career on hold and start pursuing that passion of trying to be a content creator. So this last year I've just been exploring different avenues. Like, do I want to go into YouTube? Do I want to go into podcasting? Do I want to be a blogger and write? But it's just become this whole world. But it's super fun.
Yeah, I mean, now when I follow your Instagram, it's really like fashion based and, your outfits and all that stuff and inspirational. I like your inspirational stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, but I think a lot of it for me is like creating something because, I've now been engaged twice. Third time's a charm.
Wait, so when was the second time?
So I got engaged when, a couple of years ago now. It's been 2 years since we broke up, but we were together like almost 7 years as well.
What was his story?
He was in tech. We met on Match.com.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is before like Hinge and Bumble and all the things were cool.
Now,
before swiping was a thing. Before swiping right was a thing.
And when with him, did he know you were on a reality show and all that stuff?
Yeah, he did, but that was not his vibe.
And so would you ever be out with him and like people would recognize you? Like
a lot. Yeah, and it was, again, just with the awkwardness. Like, it wasn't his...
He wasn't like kind of like got a little boner over it, like I'm with a star?
I don't think so. I think he was more annoyed than anything.
Yeah.
He was just a little bit more reserved.
Okay.
He was like technology kind of.
And so why didn't you marry him?
We just kind of grew apart as we got older and just growing together. We owned a agency, digital advertising agency together. Never go into business with someone you're dating.
Well, I'm into business with my husband.
Unless you have signed contracts, which I did not.
Lesson
of my life, yeah. Because I was like, we're going to get married. I love you. Like, everything will be fine. We don't need contracts. Biggest bit. Because
so you built this thing and then
we built this company.
And then you really didn't have a stake in it?
Well, we were 50-50 partners at the time. And then we broke up. And with it came... fighting over the company like a child.
Right.
So, yeah, little custody battle. That was fun.
And did you, so like, do you keep in touch with Slade and Gretchen? Do you ever see them or talk to them?
No. It's been a very, very long time, but I heard he's happy with the new baby and
They have the baby.
have the baby.
They're just going strong.
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
they never got married, but you know, they're a good team. Like I think, every time I'm like, I'll say to my husband, like, why can't you be more like Slade? He's got a camera with him. If he does
Insta boyfriend.
yeah, if we do the photos, it's like it comes back the most like beautiful photo I've ever taken in my life. Like if I'm at something with Gretchen, I'm like, Jesus.
He
like,
was always very supportive on everything and anything I did, so I can only imagine.
Yeah. So now they have their baby, so I'm like, good for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I think everyone ends up exactly where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And I am truly happy for the both of them. So
you know, and then I'll always say, like, you know, would you go back? Would you go back? And then there's been times where they've said to me, like, no, now at this point we wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last time I think I talked to her, she was like, for a long time, yes, but now I wouldn't. But then I always go, but would, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, you know, I mean, it would be, I would like to see them, you and your new boyfriend, bring back Lori Peterson. Like, it would be kind of interesting to see it all. But, you know, the show changes and it's still entertaining. But when you watch those vintage episodes, it's just like it's like a
I love
weird
that you call
thing.
it vintage episodes. That's
But like
amazing.
it brings you back to like,
Yeah.
and then I used to be like, oh my god, and you guys are like the only one that would have that sad music at the end of the final season, which was always like in someone's like backyard, like grotto backyard,
Usually
and it's like,
Vicky's.
and then like freeze, and it's like
Yeah.
Joe's working on her music career, and and then and now it's like when they do it. It's like even that is like snarky. Like now what they write at the end of a season with someone,
Yeah.
it's more like funny and a bigger thing. Your show in the beginning was like just like a real
heartfelt.
fucking. It was like a real fucking documentary.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there wasn't any like fake launch parties and all that kind of stuff. And it's like I don't know how you could go back to that time because it just doesn't exist anymore. There's too much knowledge of it,
Yeah.
of the reality. But
Are fake launch parties a thing?
I don't know if that's fake. It's like more like the launch isn't going to happen in 2 months, but we're filming now.
Got it.
So let's just do something for my belt line, but no one can order the belt
Got it.
because they're getting made in China. They're not, like, I'm making, no one has
But
a,
it's coming soon.
no one has a belt line, but if you're a real housewife,
You should make one. She just
Gina
gave me the
Emily,
best
do
idea.
the belt line because no one's done the belts.
You're welcome.
Oh my god, I just thought of a great belt line idea. It's just how you could like switch it out and flip it, but it won't be expensive like Hermes, but like maybe I just thought the best belt line idea.
I'm loving this. You
Okay.
better keep that to yourself.
Should I keep it to myself? Maybe you and I talk later.
Okay, yes.
Because I have an idea.
Okay. I am going into fashion and beauty.
Well, thank you so much. This has been super juicy, and I really loved it. And I'm glad to hear you're doing so well, and you're in love with a hot Australian. And tell everyone where they can follow you.
You can follow me at Joe De La Rosa with 2 A's at the end. Because, of course, someone takes your name, right?
Right, but when you type it in, you'll see the one. Are you verified?
I am verified.
Congratulations.
You know how hard it is to get verified?
No, it is. I mean, you kind of need to go through like a real manager or
It's
something.
like a whole thing.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that I don't know. I did it a long time ago, but I know for other people, it's like a big challenge.
It's a thing.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.